Okay, I'm back.
Okay. So you're actually back this time?
Yeah, as back as
Eh.
I'm gonna be.
All right. Well, welcome everyone once again to the Dragoon's Lair podcast. I am the Blue Dragoon himself, Daniel the Dragon, and with me via satellite is Mike King Hamster Pellet himself.
What is shaking, people?
That's right. So we're back. So it was an eventful holiday, I would say, wouldn't
Was
you?
it though? Yeah, okay, sure.
You know, we had one of our largest episodes ever recently.
Yes, that was rather big one.
Oh yeah. Very confusing, very intricate, very I don't want to do that many again, at least not in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Needs a little more prep time for something like that.
Yeah.
But no, so good responses for the show so far. Apparently out of all of the polls, because I post a poll for every single episode, so if people go on Spotify, they can vote in the poll, which most people aren't scrolling down, but just scroll down and you'll find the poll. And yeah, so the last poll was who's going to get you to go out to see more movies? It was Jimmy, Doug, or me. And of course, Doug voted for me.
Of course he did.
So
Even though that schmuck said he's gonna take me to go see the Iron Claw when it comes out.
yeah, right before Christmas too.
You know what? From what I've seen,
You're going to do it.
from like from the trailers, and from the just like behind the scene photos and everything, it looks like it's a good film, and I want to see it.
Well, what was it? I think one of the wrestling trainers on the production was Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, it was Chavo, and he was getting what's his name, Zach Efron, to really fly off the top ropes, and he was like,
Yeah, he was
when I
actually
first told him to do it, he was scared.
yeah, but he actually jumped off the top rope. He was actually doing the stuff. So, I got to hand it to Zach Efron because if he's actually doing the stuff, then it's going to make it look more real
Mm-hmm.
and it's really going to add some real gravity to this one. So,
Yeah,
it's going to be a movie that I think is going to pay real homage and tribute to the entire
the
family.
the entire Von Erichs.
Yeah. So the Von Erich family will hopefully be very proud of this movie.
Yep.
And I think Chavo should be pretty proud too, because, he's worked on other productions before behind the scenes. What was it? I think he helped out with Heels.
Yeah, I think he was a executive producer or
Yeah. I know
stunt coordinator or something.
I know when before they canceled due to COVID, Glow on
Yeah.
Netflix, he was on there helping out. But they had some good wrestlers that actually popped up on there as well.
Yes, they did.
So it should be very interesting to see. And because it's coming out right before Christmas, I think, does this count as a Christmas movie?
Um, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna have to say no, because in my mind, what sets up a Christmas movie is having it take place in or around Christmas time, and I don't think this is in or around it. So
Uh,
I'm going to have to say no.
yeah. Well, Bruce Willis says that Die Hard's not a Christmas movie.
Oh, it is. It is.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
wrong. It is. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Lethal Weapon, the first one, is a Christmas movie.
Yep.
Um,
Well, the second Die Hard is just a bad Christmas movie. Because
oh yeah, I forgot it took place at Christmas time
yeah, at an airport.
at an airport. Yes, same story, different
Just
different location.
yeah, it really was like, oh no. But yet they still managed to get Reginald
Four
Val
more out of
Johnson.
them.
Reginald Val Johnson was back to play a cop again.
Again.
I will hand it to him. He's great at playing cops.
Hey, you guys stick with what you know. Right? He was actually a cop in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
He was the when the Ghostbusters were arrested, he was a cop. All right, Ghostbusters. The mayor wants to see you. The whole island going crazy.
Yep. That's the thing. He pops up all over the place. He's had a really great career. Reginald Val Johnson. I mean, the last thing I just heard him doing, which I can't say saw because it was voice work on season 2 of Invincible,
Okay.
because the high school that they were attending in season 1 was
Right.
Reginald Val Johnson High School.
Well, he has to make a cameo then. I mean, if the school is named.
Oh, he was the
after him.
principal.
There you go.
I was almost expecting him to be like a school security guard or
Sure,
a cop.
that would have been perfect if he was the security guard. That would have been the icing on the cake.
Yeah. So
See,
that
actually,
was
security. No. They don't like to be called security guards. They're safety agents.
seriously.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna
Seriously,
fight over the
I,
semantics of security guard and security
I
agent.
made a mistake one time and I called one of them a security guard and like, no, we're safety agents. And I was like, you keep telling yourself that
Okay.
there, Skippy.
Do you carry a gun? If you carry a gun, you're a guard, not an agent.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, they should carry guns. I mean, most of the kids in school carry guns anyway, so
Which is
just to make it fair.
yeah, but it's really sad that it's gotten to that point. You know.
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Don't get me
I mean,
started.
I remember when it was like all you really had to worry about was when the fire drill was happening.
Yep.
Now it's like, okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna basically remodel everything. So we're gonna do our nuclear drills and lock everyone into the classrooms.
No, we don't even do that. We do lockdown. We do hard and soft lockdowns.
Oh God.
We do shelter in place. We do the fire drills. And I'm like, this is just ridiculous.
So when do these kids actually have time for class and learning things?
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, we live in a very screwed up world.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah. And speaking of living in a screwed up world, you came up with a great idea for this episode.
Yes,
So
well,
why
thank
don't
you for calling it great. I'm surprised you actually enjoyed it.
It really made me think, but it was also very difficult to come up with movies for this.
It was, but I put the question out on Facebook Land, and I've actually gotten some responses. So
Oh yeah, the Facebook
once
post
we
we
get in-
have.
Yep. Okay. So
Well, tell everybody
I have a
what the
couple.
question is first, though.
okay, the question is movies that could only work in the 80s, whether it be just like the plot of the film, or people going to see it and saying, "Okay, yeah, let's go see this. This looks interesting." Something that can only happen in the 80s.
Yep.
Okay, now, plot wise, first movie that comes to my mind Iron Eagle, starring Louis Gossett Jr.
Okay.
Okay, premise of the film Army brat. They live on an army base. The army brat's father flies for the Air Force, gets shot down in the Middle East, taken prisoner, and will be tried, giving a fair trial, then convicted and hanged. The oldest son hears this, gets all pissed off, enlists the help of retired Air Force Colonel Louis Gossett Jr., aka Chappie Sinclair. That was his name in the film, Chappie Sinclair. The two of them come up with a plan to steal 2 F-16 Falcon fighter jets and basically start a 2-man war against the Middle East to get the person's father back. Now, you tell me, could that have worked in any other time but the 80s?
Yeah, no, I can't really picture that like taking place anywhere outside of the 80s. It is encompassed
started with
in an 80s bubble.
Right. I mean, okay, let's take the basic plot. Army brat's father gets shot down.
Yep.
Okay.
You could do
Good.
something with that.
Good bones. Let's work on it. And then, the oldest son steals 2 F-16 fighter jets with the help of his friends. And then the friends, they get him satellite photos, recon. They get him, troop movement. How are these high school kids because they were high school kids. How do they get their hands on that much intelligence? And is our at the time was our government and our military that lax that a bunch of high school students can get that type of intelligence?
And as I'm nodding my head, yes.
Yep.
It could only be in the 80s.
Only in the 80s.
See, I was thinking more along lines of movies that it's like, it could only have been made in the 80s because no one would make this movie today.
I mean that's part of it too.
Yeah.
Only movie that could have been made in the 80s.
Yeah.
But again, when you watched it, you're like, okay, let's go. Let's see it. That sounds plausible. Yeah, let's go.
I've got one that's implausible for the 80s, but yet still made in the 80s and could never, ever be made today.
Okay.
The Toy.
Oh, God.
That's right.
Was that the 80s, though, or was that late 70s?
It was the early 80s.
Okay. The Toy, starring
Richard
Mr.
Pryor.
Not Mr. Jackie Gleason. Gotta go first.
No,
Mr. Jackie Gleason.
It was a Richard Pryor movie. So
yes, but okay, fine. Richard Pryor, Mr. Jackie Gleason.
Yep.
And that kid who ended up doing porno.
Listen, you couldn't make this, like, there's no way to do that nowadays. I mean, a rich southern millionaire that owns a store gets to see his son and tells his son he can get whatever he wants in the store. After they hire a black man and he sees him playing with the toys in the store, the kid says,
what was the toy? Wonder Wheel.
Yeah, the Wonder Wheel. He's like, I want that. They thought he wanted the Wonder Wheel. No,
Wonder Wheel. No, he wanted the black man.
Black man. When in hell could you think you could get away with basically renting a black man for your child?
No, not even renting. He bought a black man.
Oh no, he was rented because it was only for a limited amount of time because the son was only there for what, like the holidays or something?
Something like that. But I remember they had one scene when Jackie Gleason found out what his son bought. Jackie Gleason was talking to like the woman who's supposed to be his wife.
Yeah.
And he goes, my son bought a black man from the store. And she goes, I didn't think we sell those.
Yeah. I
mean, what in the holy fuck?
Yeah, what drugs were they on? And we got an idea with Richard Pryor, but for everyone
everything.
Yeah, because to come up with this concept, now granted, it's a touching story about this kid learning, like, how to be a kid, and, like, it's him trying to get his dad's attention.
Right.
But at the same time, you're trying to buy a black man.
You're buying a black man.
You're not even just buying a black man. You're trying to buy another human being.
Cheap, too. Yeah. I don't think it was that expensive.
Yeah, it really...
I remember watching that film and thinking, I want all those toys that the guy had in his room. Not Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
I'm not into slavery, but all the toys that the kid had, I want those.
The toys looked so much, like, so fun. Like, you would have a blast with all of them. And
yes, then it's like the train from Silver Spoons. I want that train that they rode around on.
Oh, yeah. Well, I could definitely see you having a train like in Silver Spoons riding around your house. Like that I could picture.
I'm a train guy. What can I say?
I know. But it's one of those things where it's like, I can picture that. And I think you would have so much fun because you'd have like the little conductor's hat. But just the concept of buying...
I have one of those somewhere, actually.
Yeah, I know you do. Somewhere. But buying another human being to occupy your child, it's like, talk about neglectful parenting.
Yeah.
Along with basically slavery. It went above and beyond where there's no way in hell you could make that movie today because you can't even justify it. What do you
can't even joke about it.
Yeah. My buddy and I, we were watching it, like, I think earlier this year, at the beginning of the year, because it was on when it was still HBO Max. They had it on
Yeah, now
there.
it's just Max.
Yeah, and it was there, and we're watching it, and it was like, oh my God. I mean, I will say, great cast, but still, there's no way you could make something that offensive today.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone would have lost their shit.
Oh, it would have been canceled before the story ink on the storyboards were dry.
They would have canceled it just by seeing the script.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, we're not greenlighting this project.
Now, another film that can only take place in the 80s.
Yep. What you got?
Weird Science.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The only time you
Weird
could get away with that.
Science. Where basically,
Although
instead of buying a person,
they made
these
one.
two geniuses, they create their own female.
They made a female genie, basically.
Basically.
Which, the funny thing is, we say it could have only really been made in the 80s, but yet they made it into a TV series in the 90s.
Yeah, but you figure it was still riding high from the 80s, so that's why they did
Yeah,
it. But
it
it can only have been made in the 80s.
Yeah. Although I will say, I love the casting for the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I also love the casting for the series.
Yes.
I mean, let's
I
face
concur.
it, you got young Robert Downey Jr. in the movie.
Yes, and a young Bill Paxton who got turned into some kind of like frog slug monster at the end.
Yeah, but the fact that it was a young Robert Downey Jr. still gets me every
Mhm.
single time, especially because it's like him playing a bully.
No, he wasn't. Yes, he was playing the bully. Yes, he
Yep.
was. I was thinking back to school. I was
Yeah,
thinking back to
and
school.
then also, I mean, bringing in all the biker gangs and stuff from like a Mad Max setting,
Yep.
and they
Oh,
got
and that guy from
Vernon Wells.
Vernon Wells. Yep.
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 It's like
Yeah,
that.
what do
That
you
to
got?
me was just brilliant.
Yes. But it only would have worked in the 80s.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, now they probably, if you make that movie now, people would be like, no, you can't do that only because the science isn't real enough.
oh yeah,
Like, you'll never have that. Like how did they do it? Two guys and they took a Barbie doll.
I
And
I have a buddy that I met in college, my second go around, not the first, because I went back after graduating. I don't know why I still question why I did that, but I will
He
say
had money to waste.
I made some good friends at that point, and one
You
of
have
them,
friends?
he could not stand bad science in movies. If you put him in front of like a Disney movie, he is so confused, and the look of befuddlement on his face was
Who is this?
absolutely priceless.
Who is he?
My friend Sean,
Okay.
you don't know
I
him,
don't
but
know.
oh
I
my
don't
god,
know.
like seeing the look on his face as he's trying to like work out magic, it's like watching him with the movie The Core, of them drilling into the center of the earth. He's like, the science, just you could see like the wheels turning in his brain, like that can't work. No, you could see like the blue screen of death popping up in his own brain, like his eyes would glaze over blue, like you got to hit the reset button, there's no way.
He's gone.
Yeah. So what's enough now?
I just did Weird Science.
Yeah,
You're
Weird
up.
Science, though, I'm trying to think, though, because it's really tough. And the one that I came up with kind of falls in kind of a similar vein, because it's Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay.
You could not make
Great
that.
movie.
You could not make that nowadays.
You'll offend too many people.
Oh, not even just offending people, but the sneaking around at the amusement park.
Yes.
And our hero Lewis switching masks and basically sexually assaulting and taking advantage of the cheerleader.
Yes.
And it's like, he violated her. She thought
He did.
she was sleeping with somebody else. And it's like, you didn't realize until it was too late. It's
Yep.
like, really? That will send everyone's brains into an explosion, but also the pure stereotypes. alone. I mean, I will say I still to this day love the musical performance at like the carnival. Are you?
Oh, that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the microphone is falling apart.
Yeah, but no, it really was like the musical performance from the Lambda Lambda Lambdas and the Omega Moos. I think someone would really flip out just on the sorority alone being the Omega Moos.
Yeah. Although Danny did meet Ogre, I think last year, the
Now
year before.
let's be clear about this. Our buddy Danny Palubny,
Palubny.
not me.
Not him. He met Ogre, and
I really want to meet him.
He said he was like the most chillest guy ever, and Danny's brother Jason really wanted to be there, but I don't know, he couldn't for some reason. So he was like, can you do me a favor? My brother really wanted to be here. Blah 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 blah. Can you, either he left him a voicemail or he did a video for him. Yeah, but he was like, Jason, you're a nerd. And he kept going like, and whenever he would see them, or whenever he'd be like walking around the floor, he would just randomly screaming out nerds.
Yeah, yeah, he really is like one of the coolest guys. Like it was such a great character, and then seeing him pop up in other movies as like a biker and everything. What was it?
Okay, USA.
Yeah. There was that, and then you had then him popping up in what was it? I think it was like the first or second season of Step by Step.
Yep.
As like a biker, but like so highly intelligent. Like they really had like some great casting. Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, what was it? You had true great casting, but so stereotypical.
Oh yeah, the gay black guy. Come on now.
Oh, which funny because Lamar was one of the Cobra Kai students.
Yes, he was.
So
yes, he was the original, one of the original Cobra Kai guys. Yep.
So he was there, and I mean, let's face it, Ted McGintley, who goes on
Mr. Scream.
Yep. But he then ends up being on Married with Children.
Yep.
As Jefferson Darcy. It's like
Jefferson Darcy.
The fact
I actually watched last night, and I forgot he was in it. I watched Pearl Harbor again.
Oh yeah,
because it was on, and I just forgot how many like people like had cameos in that movie.
Oh,
Ted McGinley was in it. Dan Aykroyd was in it. What's his name? Oh fuck, he was in Natural Born Killers. Just passed away recently. Tom Sizemore was in it. Just how many people had cameos.
Oh, yeah. It was one of those movies where it's like, it was so jam-packed with talent. And, I mean, seeing young talent is always great, but when they come back for something else, you forget. And you're like, wow. So what do you've got? Because we also have to go through the list of everything that people went and did on the replies for Facebook after R3.
All right, I'm going to do one more.
Yep.
Only can get away with it in the 80s. Your favorite film and mine from Mr. George Lucas. Yes, don't roll the eyes. You know where I'm going with this.
Oh, God, no. Don't do it.
Yes, I am. You got it.
Don't do it.
Howard the Duck. Only in the 80s can you get an anamorphic
Steven Spielberg.
duck. I thought it was Lucas wrote it, didn't he?
No, I believe it was Spielberg.
I have to disagree with you on that one. Let me look it up real quick. I am 99% sure it was George Lucas. Because
the two of them worked together on so much stuff, though, especially back then. I mean, let's face it, though, great cast for Howard the Duck. Leah Thompson alone was the main reason to see that movie.
Yes.
So, as Mike is scanning to figure out, was it Lucas or Spielberg? The funny thing is,
I want to say Lucas. Here we go.
I believe it's Spielberg.
Okay. The film was produced by Gloria Katz, written by Hayek and Katz, with George Lucas as executive producer.
Okay.
Yep.
Who was the director?
Willard Hayek, Huyck. Hayek.
And I'm gonna assume that was his last movie.
I don't know. Let's find out. I'm gonna Wikipedia
with
this guy.
how poor that movie performed, I would.
It actually made money from what it was. It made like 38 million. It didn't make a lot of money.
It's funny.
It was made for like 35 million, but it made 38.
But
so
that costume,
you could say it was
that costume alone for Howard looked like it ate up the bulk of their budget.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. After Howard the Duck, the director took a break. He didn't make another film until 1994, Radioland Murders.
Yeah, I guess he really needed a break.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Okay. All right, so now.
Yeah. Now, for me, though, I gotta say, like, I did enjoy Howard the Duck.
It was a great film. It was funny as hell.
I also didn't realize it was it was based off of a comic book.
I thought the comic book came after.
No, the comic book was first. I didn't know. And he's a Marvel character. So
yeah, he is a Marvel character.
So I was like, I honestly did not realize, and I was like, oh my God.
But not for nothing. You look at the way Howard Duck looked in his standalone film.
Yep.
And then you look at the way Howard Duck was in the end credit scenes of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he was also in the background for some of the regular.
Come on, he looked so much better in his 80s persona than he did here. He looked horrible.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about the practical effects. And I think we've lost a lot when it comes to practical effects because people just don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it.
They cheese out and use CG a little bit too much.
Oh, without a doubt. I'd rather see a practical effect than a special effect.
Yeah, it's like going back and looking at the original Jurassic Park. You know that there were the special effects, but having the miniatures. I mean, the raptors walking around were actual people in suits.
Yeah, for the later ones, not the original.
No, for the original. In the original, the raptors in the kitchen, those were actual people in like the costumes.
Oh, for when you said suits, I automatically thought motion capture suits.
No. This was like, them walking around the kitchen with the practical effects. It was like Alien, where they used dancers to be in the alien costumes. For the Xenomorph.
Same deal with Predator.
Yep.
The guy Kevin Peter Hall, or Hall Peter, was trained as a dancer.
Yeah, I almost thought you were about to say Kevin Nash. But then again, that was Super Shredder.
Kevin Peter Hall. Super Shredder.
Yeah, now...
Okay.
For me, my third for, like, these movies from the 80s that just could not be made, and, like, because they only stand, like, in the 80s, I have to say it, but it's RoboCop.
That's funny, because that's actually on the list.
Yeah. But RoboCop...
One of the people said RoboCop.
Because, I mean, they tried remaking it. But
it wasn't horrible.
But it was so encapsulated in the idea of the 80s, where it's like, we're going to take a cop after he gets killed, turn him into a cyborg, basically, and he's going to go out there and fight crime in Detroit, which is supposedly so crime-ridden.
Isn't it, though?
I don't know. I actually have never been to Detroit. If we have any listeners from Detroit, please reach out and email us and let us know if Detroit's crime problem is as bad as it was portrayed back in the 80s. And you can email us at dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. That's dragoonslairpodcast, all one word. Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your emails and let us know, because we want to know. And also, send us your movies that you feel were in the 80s, could not be remade because they fall in that bubble where it wouldn't make any sense outside of the 80s.
Yeah, where it would be slammed and just picked apart instead of just sitting back saying, "Hey, this is a fun film."
Yep.
Okay, so let's start off with Mr. Gregory Palms. Greg, love you, buddy. You put a bunch of stuff up here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go.
What did Greg give us?
Greg gave us. He goes, "Ooh, there's a lot." Videodrome.
Oh my God, yeah. That
Never. I
it
can't say yes or no.
it's such a fucking head trip. There's no way around it. It's I'm not bleeping any of my cursing out because it's my show. I don't
Okay.
care. But
Okay,
yeah, no.
fine.
The Videodrome is like it really is just like oh my God, like there's no way. It would
Okay.
only exist in the 80s. It's so hard for me to even describe the movie. It's something you have
Well,
to see on your own. I believe it's like a John Carpenter movie.
I think he put a lot of Carpenter up here.
Yeah, Carpenter was ahead of his time, so most of his movies could only really take place in the 80s.
Okay, just a synopsis of Videodrome. As the president of a trashy TV channel, Max Wren, James Woods,
Of course.
is desperate for new programming to attract viewers when he happens upon Videodrome, a TV show dedicated to gratuitous torture and punishment. Max sees a potential hit and broadcasts the show on his channel. However, his girlfriend, Deborah Harry, auditions for the show and never returns. Max investigates truths behind Videodrome and discovers that the graphic violence may not be as fake as everyone thought. Yes, it can only happen in the 80s.
Yep. Yeah, that's like Death Wish. Those were synonymous with the 80s or even
Oh, yeah.
like 70, I think it was even in the 70s, Faces of Death.
Yep.
Those were
Another one.
Yeah. Now what
Another
what
one
else?
that Greg gave us. He gave us Gremlins. Fun film. Could see it happening in the 80s. Today, I think it would have. I don't think it would have its appeal because, like you said, I think it would be too heavy on the CG and not the practical.
Yeah, the Gremlins movie was very practical effects. I mean, I consider Gremlins a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Because, I mean, let's face it, you've got the Gremlins like tearing apart a town, but it's happening during Christmas. You see like
So-
the Christmas tree spinning around in the bar and everything. The bar scene alone is like it's a nightmare for a Cheers fan.
Yes. Another one that Greg gave us was Fright Night, the original Fright Night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say
I got to disagree with that one though.
me also because I think that one can just fit in like any time being like a cheesy horror film.
And I think the remake actually was a little bit better. I can't say the cast
Parts of it.
yeah.
Parts of it was better.
I mean, when you put David Tennant in anything, it's pretty much just elevated. And
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
He also gave us Creep Show, which again, if you want to go cheesy horror, yeah, it could survive in the 80s, but I think something like that could fit in like kind of anywhere.
It kind of can, but at the same time, it also can't. I kind of have to agree with Creep Show because if you notice, like the vignette stuff doesn't really
Yeah.
do well nowadays. And
True.
because it's like that was all like different stories. You don't see that as a trope anymore with movies where it's not like we're going to tell you a bunch of stories in one movie.
Right.
It's-
They did it with Boys from the Tales from the Hood.
Tales from the Hood,
Tales from the Hood. They did it with
Tales from the Dark Side.
Tales from the. They did it with Didn't they also do it with Bordello of Blood?
No, Bordello of Blood was straight through one movie.
No, okay. I thought that was
No.
vignettes also.
Very similar because it was like I think like Tales from the Crypt style.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a Tales from the Crypt film.
But Tales
So,
from the Crypt, even as a series, was one episode each. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, we're going to tell a bunch of different ones. You
Right.
know, Creep Show really was like, here's the comic book. We're going to keep turning the pages. And like, here's a different comic in there. So those anthologies of being in one movie with different stories it doesn't do well, and they proved it by trying to make movie 43, which
Yeah.
is considered to be one of the worst movies, even though I kind of enjoy it. But I enjoy it because it's so ridiculous.
That's it.
And the fact that you got
Um,
Hugh Jackman with balls on his chin. Like, he literally has a ball sack on his chin. It's
don't know what to tell you.
it's
He
fun
needed
to
the money.
think of Wolverine with balls on his chin.
Mr. Jackman, if you like to come on and try to defend yourself for taking that role, we would love to have you on. I know you're busy shooting Deadpool 3, but Mr. Jackman, if you want to take 5, 10 minutes, not even 10 seconds or whatever, come on the show. We'd love to have you.
Or,
And you can explain why you decided to put balls on your chin.
or if you'd like to send us a video, you can send it to our email, dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. All one word. Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a short video, and we would love to see what you have to say and react to it as well.
Yes, please, Mr. Jackman. We're not joking. We're serious.
Yeah, you if you can just take 5 minutes out of your busy schedule to send us,
Yes.
just like, you don't even have to deal with us directly. Just send
Yeah,
us,
just please.
just send us a quick little video.
Another one Greg had on here was The Lost Boys.
No,
I think that falls into
the
that can fall into an anywhere category.
but it's the aesthetic. And in all honesty, when you actually think about it, they've done newer versions of The Lost Boys where they've done the sequels and they've been lackluster, to say the least. But
Yeah.
I have to say, let's face it, certain movies could only take place because of the fact that there were no cell phones. If there was a
Yes,
cell
that is
phone,
true.
it's like, really? You can't do it.
Greg put up Howard the Duck. We already touched on Howard.
Yep.
And the last one on Greg's list, Beetlejuice. I don't know.
I'm a little iffy on that one since we are getting a sequel.
Yeah. I mean, the first one was good. I think it kind of flew under the radar a little bit. But Good Bones, I think it could have taken place at any time. Doesn't fit into that 80s niche, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, next up. Your
Okay.
friend and mine. Are you ready for this one?
Oh, who is it?
Dan Siri.
Okay, what did Mr. Siri have to give us?
He actually posted twice.
That sounds like him.
First one is with a mic drop. He put down, and I agree with him on this one, Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay.
Amazing film, amazing cast. Everybody can relax. Jack Burton is here, and it can only work in the 80s.
Oh, absolutely. You know, all the talk of trying to redo it or like do a
No.
sequel today, no. Because it subverted the genre of like
Yep.
action and like martial arts action movies, because you see Kurt Russell and you're thinking Kurt Russell's the hero. He's the
No,
sidekick.
he's not. He's a sidekick,
And
which
they
is awesome.
Yeah. But he's so delusional that he thinks he's the hero.
He thinks he's the hero, which is it makes it instant classic 100 times better.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, Mr. Siri dropped about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 more films.
I guess this was to
Well-
make up for him not notifying us that he was getting married.
Probably. So, like you said, first up on his second list is RoboCop.
Okay.
We touched on it. We don't need to go back into it. Next up, Commando, which I agree, the 80s made Schwarzenegger's career because he made the same film over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
And he's playing the same cat, with the exception of the Terminator, the first one. He's playing the same character.
Yep. Okay.
So, yeah. Then he has every John Hughes film,
Yeah, that
which,
they
yeah,
Weird Science falls into that. So yeah, we've already
Yes.
touched on that one. But yeah, The Breakfast Club. Really,
Mhm.
outside of the '80s, what group of kids is going to show up for a Saturday detention?
Yes, on their own.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, granted, their parents dropped them off, but they turn around and leave.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they
No.
were
Yeah.
already getting in trouble, why would you stick around? It's like, nah, I'm just going to go home.
Yeah. Fuck it. Okay. Here's one that I agree can only happen in the 80s. Night of the Comet.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
The only person I really remember in it, I think her name is Mary Stuart Catherine from Weekend at Bernie's. She was in the first Weekend at Bernie's. She played
Yep.
like the
She was
love
the,
interest.
she was the main girl for this one, and then it was like her and I forget the actress's name, but the one that played her sister.
I actually remember the guy who played Chakotay in it from
Really?
Star Trek Voyager.
Okay.
He was in it. He was like Mary Stuart Catherine's. I wouldn't say boyfriend, but he was like the other guy.
He was the guy that shows
He was a
up
good guy.
and becomes the love interest.
Yeah, he became the love
After.
interest.
Like shit goes to hell.
Yeah, literally. And for those of you who don't know, Night of the Comet is basically a apocalyptic film where a comet crosses the Earth's atmosphere, wipes out everybody.
They all turn
Except for a
to
handful-
dust.
They all
Unless
turn to
they
dust
were
except
protected
for-
by a lead room.
Yeah, so you figure it's the 80s. Everybody has a lead room. Why? Because it's the 80s. Go
Because
figure.
everything had lead paint in it.
That is true. That is true.
But if there was any kind of ventilation, you
You're
slowly
done.
succumb to the radiation of the comet and turned into some kind of weird like mutant.
Mutant zombie thing.
Yeah.
Then he has Repo Man. Not the
Oh
one with
my-
Forrest Whitaker, the original one with Emilio Estevez.
Yep. What was that? Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was both. of
No,
them?
that was Men at Work.
Okay.
And then they did another one after that.
Yeah. You know, when
Then he has.
when you get them together, it's still.
Yeah, it's a blur. Yeah. Then he has Buckaroo Banzai Across the Fifth Dimension.
Oh my God.
That's a great film.
But it's.
But again, it can only
Absolutely.
happen in the 80s.
There is no way to get away with doing Buckaroo Banzai later on.
And I have a question for you, Danny. What's
Okay.
with that watermelon?
Huh?
What's with that watermelon?
Yeah.
What's that watermelon doing there? I'll tell you later. Then he had, this one, yes, in the 80s, but you have to figure with his fan base, it could work anywhere. UHF.
Yeah. No, UHF could only exist in the 80s because by the 90s, I don't think everyone was switching over to cable, so the UHF channels kind of seemed to like disappear. You didn't really see too
Okay.
many of them on unless you had an older TV.
Okay. And then rounding out Mr. Series' list, he has Labyrinth. With a very young, very hot Jennifer Connelly. And David Bowie.
You know what though? I still think Jennifer Connelly looks amazing. So
Oh, yeah, she does. But
I don't-
I think Labyrinth is one of those films that could, because it takes place in like a different time, a different universe, if you were. I think that's one of those films that can be placed. You could do it now,
you could,
and it'll work.
but at the same
Story wise. But what made that film was Jim Henson's Creature Shop
yeah,
and all the practical effects. I'm talking story wise.
yeah,
It could happen now.
which is what I was about to say. It's like the problem would be if you made it today, everything would be CG.
Oh yeah.
And it wouldn't work. Without practical effects and actually having the puppets and like the creepy
Yeah.
wall of hands.
With the hands, yes.
I'm like Lucky Hands. They like you really can't
They
make
were all
that
over
movie.
her.
They groped Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah. Speaking of groping, remember the scene in Ghostbusters, the first one, where the hands come out of
The chair.
sofa and the chair?
Yep.
One of them, if you noticed, grabs Sigourney Weaver's tit. And the guy who did it, because they couldn't see where they were because they were under the chair,
Yeah.
he grabbed it and then he was like, she was saying, like, he realizes, like, holy shit, I have a handful of Sigourney Weaver. So then, the guy whose hand was in there after they called the cut, he was like, I'm so sorry, I couldn't see where my hand was. He goes, if you want, I will tell them to reshoot that scene. And she's like, no, forget it, don't worry about it, it's all good. So sometimes lucky mistakes.
Yep.
Now we move on to Mr. Matt Galeese, who is a buddy of mine. I did some shows with him. He only has 2, but they are good ones. First one being Flash Gordon.
Yeah, because no other band could do the soundtrack.
Not at all. And they didn't even just do the soundtrack, they did the score.
Yeah.
They did every stitch of music on that film came from Queen.
Exactly. And I still keep that soundtrack in the rotation on my iPod.
Oh, it's on my car. So yeah.
I have to take out some of the songs though, because they're just the melodies. But for the most part, it's like, oh yeah.
I think the Flash Gordon soundtrack was actually the second CD I ever bought.
Nice.
And Matt also has up here.
What do we
You're
got?
going to laugh at this one.
What's this one?
Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
Oh my god, I don't even know that one.
Really?
Yep, I do not know that.
I remember seeing this film. It has Fred Ward and Kate Mulgrew.
Oh god.
Hang on, let me pull it up. Give you guys the
Synopsis.
yeah. Came out in 1985. Overview. Here we go. A New York cop wakes up from a mysterious accident with a new identity. He finds himself in the employment of a secret unit which was set up to investigate a dangerous industrialist whose organization has secured several government armament contracts, including a top secret strategic defense system. Because in the 80s, everybody was trying to blow everybody else up. You have Fred Ward as Remo Williams, Joel Grey as Cheung, Wilford Brimley, he's in it as Harold Smith. Kate Mulgrew is in it. Patrick Kilpatrick. If your last name is Kilpatrick, why would you name your child Patrick? Seriously, Patrick Kilpatrick. Why would you do that to your child? That's just throwing it out there. Oh, this is another film starring Mr. Reginald Van Johnson. He was the ambulance driver in this film.
So he wasn't a cop?
He wasn't a cop, but he was a civil servant, EMT.
Okay.
Anybody else we would know? Marv Albert, he's in it.
Don't know.
Sports guy.
Yeah, I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah, but you know the voice if you hear him. Holy shit, Anthony Hopkins is in this movie.
Oh my god.
Yep, that's about it.
Oh jeez.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
What? What do you get? What'd you find? What'd you find?
Okay.
You can't give me a reaction and not tell us.
Hang on.
No,
Yeah, this guy, wow. If he played who I think he played, there's absolutely no way this guy can get away with doing it now. Mr. Joel Grey, he played in the film, I believe he played Fred Ward's Asian instructor. And he's not Asian. There's no way you can get there. If this is who I think it is, I haven't seen the movie in years. Because the guy's name is like Cheung. If he's who I think he is, there's no way in hell it'll be able to fly now. So Matt, wow, thank you, buddy. Ah, shit, I just lost it. So thank you, buddy, Matt. That was a great one. And our buddy Danny Polubny, rounding out the list. He put this one up here. And when I saw it the first time, I'm like, yeah, can only happen in the 80s. And
what is it?
It is Soul Man.
Is that the one?
Yes, it is. Where C. Thomas Howell becomes a black guy.
Oh God, no! Just no.
See, if you guys remember Tropic Thunder, when Robert Downey Jr.'s character became a black guy to portray a black guy in the film, okay, at least in that context, he was doing it to, make
He was
make a
being
movie.
a method actor, and
He was being a method actor, but oh God, we have to find a picture of C. Thomas Howell with an afro in blackface.
And if we can find this picture, you can find it.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yes, but I'm saying
I will post it.
For us to share this, you'll be able to find it on either or both the Dragoon's Lair podcast Facebook or Instagram page. So make sure you guys
You'll
sign
find
up to
it
those.
both there. Yes.
Yeah.
Sign up for both. Yeah. I remember like the catchphrase that he had. He goes, "It's the year of Cosby, man."
Oh my!
Let's just go through.
Yeah, that definitely didn't age well. No.
Let's go through the cast. Playing your lead black man, C. Thomas Howell. You can't get more white than C. Thomas Howell. Then you have Ray Dong Chong.
Oh, who
You
doesn't
have
love
Mr.
Ray Don Chong?
That is true. Then you have Mr. Darkside himself, James Earl Jones.
Okay.
You have Leslie Nielsen. Julia Louise Dreyfus.
Okay.
You have MC Gainey. You have Max Wright, which was Willie from Elf.
Okay.
Anybody else we would know? Anybody? Bueller? What the? No. Well, we have one guy. His name is Ron Reagan.
Ronald
not
Reagan?
the president. No, Ron Reagan, not the president.
Oh,
it's
God.
Ron Reagan.
No.
No. Okay, so now let's just get the overview here. Oy vey. In order to win a scholarship, Mark Watson, C. Thomas Howell, the white son of an affluent psychiatrist, pretends to be black on his application form. When he's accepted, he alters his hair, skin, and speech to conceal his true identity. At first, Mark believes that going through law school as a minority will be a breeze, but he soon begins to experience racism. Eventually, Mark falls in love with Sarah Walker, that's Ray Dong Chong, a black student, and begins to feel guilty about his ruse.
Sarah Walker.
It's only after he started dating a black girl that he felt bad about this. Everything else up until then was fine.
I have to wonder now, because her name is Sarah Walker. It makes me wonder if the creator of this movie basically was a fan, or someone was a fan and used that for the show Chuck.
Could be.
Because
Could be.
Yvonne, I'm going to butcher your last name, and I am completely sorry about this. Stravinsky, I believe. Her character on Chuck was Sarah Walker. Which, yes.
Okay, it could be.
And I've been watching Chuck again on Max because, frankly, I love that show. It's just so fun. And if we can get a movie, please get Zachary Levi the rights so he can make this movie that he's been trying to do for quite some time.
Okay, I am posting now the trailer for Soul Man to the Dragoon's Lair Facebook page, which will probably get me banned.
If the page isn't there next week, you'll know why.
You'll know why.
And this isn't us being offensive. This is us like,
what the fuck? This is the 80s, folks.
Yeah,
this is why we don't get offended by things.
Yeah. We're not offended, but we understand why you'd be offended by it. Now, I would like to give a few honorable mentions to some movies that could only have existed in the 80s. One of which, Ghost Dad, with Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby, yes, I remember that, where he has an out of body experience and he
he
comes back
ends,
as a ghost. Yes.
yeah, he's pretty much like he's on the verge of death, and so he's a ghost
No, actually,
wander.
he was on life support.
Yeah, so that's why I say verge of death. But it's Bill Cosby. It didn't age well, and no one would make that movie nowadays. Now,
I need my pudding.
yeah, yeah,
J-Lo.
yeah. He loved pudding, putting his dick
Oh,
where it did
yeah.
belong. Uh, so now another honorable mention, or I should say dishonorable mention, the Garbage Pail Kids movie could
I
only
never saw it.
exist. Oh, you never saw it?
No.
Okay, okay. Now, I'm going to have to show you this movie. And this is more for comedy than anything else. Because it's extremely bad.
Oh, I've heard about it.
But
I've heard about it, but I've never saw it before.
I own it on DVD.
Of course you do.
I think for a special episode of the Dragoon's Lair podcast, Mike and I are going to watch the Garbage Pail Kid movie. So Mike will see it cold, but you will only see our reactions. So you'll be able to watch along with us. How does that sound, Mike? You think you're down for an hour and a half of the Garbage Pail Kids movie? Actually, I don't
we'll
even think
see.
it's an hour and a half.
We will see.
Listen, I think that it deserves a special episode.
Probably, but
Well, it'll get you out of the house.
that is true.
You know what? Maybe it'll be you, me, and Doug, and we watch the Garbage Pail Kid movie.
Hi. Okay, now here's a question for
Okay.
you. Okay. Not only because it took place in the 80s. Do you think if, let's just say Back to the Future. Okay? Back to the Future. Could that have been made in any other time but the 80s? Do you think it would have worked if it was made today or 10, 15 years ago?
It's interesting that you bring that up because I've been watching and there's a guy online who he was talking about this and I have not been able to get it out of my head and I wish I could give him the proper credit, but I didn't come up with this. So, but guy on the internet, I was going through like reels and stuff and I see he's talking about if Back to the Future was made today, where they would travel to the 80s. So the 80s or into the 90s. Now, when you first go and when Marty first gets back into the 50s, what song do you hear when he's walking around? Mr. Sandman.
Mr. Sandman.
Now, what song would be playing in the 80s when you do that?
Enter
Sandman.
Sandman.
So, yeah. I don't think you could do it outside of the 80s, mostly because you'd have to go back to the 50s to eliminate anybody's idea of technology being as advanced as it is now compared to then. But also, his mom tried to have sex with him. You're not going to get that. It's going to be really wrong.
Well, I was reading about that,
80s
and
or the 90s.
they said when they shopped it around, they shopped it to Disney, and Zemeckis and Gale, they didn't even like realize that when Disney said we can't do this, we're Disney, you're making a movie about incest, and they were like, what are you talking about? And then they read it and like, oh shit, we actually are.
We didn't realize we put.
Yeah, they said we didn't realize what we were doing. They're like, holy shit, this is.
Now you can I can understand the concept of okay, the mom discovers that it's like, oh, okay, this is a guy that she thinks is cute. She doesn't know it's going to be her son eventually.
Exactly. But here's a question.
He knows.
He knows.
And his only idea of being able to get his dad to like win her over is he's going to be trying to force himself on her in the car. So you come over and you pull me out and you punch me. the sexual assault started with Biff, but she actually sexually assaulted her son.
And if you think about it, what Biff was trying to do all throughout the movie, I guess in the 50s, murder was legal.
Yeah. Oh, he was constantly talking about murdering some.
Yeah. But, shit, I just lost my chain of thought now. I forgot what I was going to
Trains
say.
derailed.
Neville at the station is more like it.
I gotta find that conductor's hat. Bringing it full circle, folks. Bringing it full circle. But no, so, I mean, there are plenty of things that could only really take place in the 80s. And I can say one of my all-time favorite horror franchises could have only taken place in the 80s. And they proved that with the remake. Nightmare on
Of?
Elm Street.
Yes.
You could only do that in the 80s. Because, let's just be real. Those parents all got away with murder.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, Freddy was a child murderer. You can understand why they'd be pissed.
Pissed.
But they set him on fire. And none of them went to jail. Nowadays you'd all be the prime suspects for it because you took him to court. He got off on a technicality. And I highly doubt that one of the murderers would become a cop, let alone a chief of police, because Nancy's father was one of the main cops.
Yep.
But also, not for nothing, he was a child murderer in the 80s. When they redid it in the 2000s,
He wasn't.
they took it to the point where you can't like the villain at this point. You could root for Freddy back in the 80s. I mean, let's face it. You even saw it in the movie The Wedding Singer, which was actually something that really did happen. Little kids were running around wearing Freddy masks and gloves.
Mm-hmm.
It was a top-selling Halloween costume, but they did trading cards, everything. Freddy was everywhere. You do that now, he's a child molester.
Yeah, no.
You cannot root for that. Everyone understands the need of a child being so obnoxious that you want to kill him. I mean, let's face it. We grew up in the 80s. What was one of our parents' favorite threats? I brought you into this world. I can take you out.
I'll take you out. I'll take you out.
Yep. And they're not talking about taking you out on a date, kids. They're talking about putting you back where you came from. The
Perfect.
afterlife,
But-
you numbnut. Not.
That's not. No. That's not what you said.
I did not.
Yes, shut up.
You.
Well, yeah. What you mean and what you said are two different things.
Oh, hell no. Don't even try that shit, you dirty motherfucker.
Me?
You're the one that brought it back to the future. But,
Yeah. Well, not on that terms, you perverted putz.
hey, so I will say I've been spending some time with footage that was shot at Anime NYC.
Good.
I'm working on putting together a little bit of a montage of what's going on.
Gonna
Unfortunately,
make a montage.
pretty much. Now, unfortunately, there is some audio issues with an interview that I did with a cosplayer and adult entertainer, Abigail Morris, and I am very sorry. I'm trying to clean up the audio as best I can. We may have to forego the interview due to the audio quality being not up
Shit.
to. Yeah, you can barely hear us because there's so much going on. But then again, location-wise, she wasn't too far. Like, her table and stuff was not too far from the military recruitment area.
Oh God.
Yes.
Well, then again, if you want to recruit for the military, you put a hot chick next to you and you just hope they wander over.
Yeah, but they were doing the pull-up challenge.
Oh God.
So, I give them credit, They think going to a convention is a good place to recruit, and maybe it is. I honestly don't know. If somebody from the military could reach out and let us know if this does help your recruitment numbers, I'd be curious to find out. I'm not plugging the email address for this one again. I'm curious. So you can leave us in Spotify or iTunes as part of a review, or you can actually answer the question on Spotify of what you think of the show, and you can leave it there. Scroll down.
Are we still on Pandora?
Is it available?
I
don't even know if it's still a thing.
Pandora?
Yeah.
I still have it, so.
Does it work?
I listen to music on it, yeah.
Okay. But does it play podcasts?
I don't know.
See? You're asking a question that I can't answer because I don't. I know Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Those are our top places where you can find the Dragoon's Lair podcast. And if you want a video version, you can wait 1 week after, and we post the video on the Blue Dragoon 13 YouTube channel.
Can you hear me now?
I could hear you the entire time.
Okay, because the mic wire just fell out, and I just realized that now.
Well, you weren't really talking, so.
Yeah, that's true. What was some of the other ones that you said? Spotify, Pandora, what were the other ones?
I said
because I'm tagging it on Instagram now.
Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast. Hang on. While he's typing,
I can't type that fast.
You do realize it takes the flow out of a podcast of us talking when you're trying to type. You could have done this after.
Okay. That's it. I got it. Thank you.
Are you sure?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Now, I will say another honorable mention for the 80s, because I believe they both came out in the 80s, or at least I saw them in the 80s. Hercules, starring Lou Ferrigno, and Hercules 2, starring Lou Ferrigno.
Isn't one of them take place in New York?
No, that was Hercules in New York with Arnold Stang.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Wasn't Schwarzenegger?
It's Schwarzenegger, but his acting name at the time was Stang.
It's Stang!
Arnold Stang, because they dubbed his audio.
Yes, they did dub his audio.
And
I don't know why you would dub my audio. I speak perfect English.
Yeah, they dubbed the audio for Lou Ferrigno, but, I mean, Lou Ferrigno is legally deaf, so I guess...
And have you met Lou Ferrigno?
I have not met him personally, but I've seen him at conventions. I would love to meet him at some point.
I met him like one of the first Comic-Cons that I went to, and he is hands down
the nicest guy,
coolest. Oh, he is, dude. Long story short, me, my brother, and our friend Craig went to go Comic-Con one year. Craig walked off and wherever his thing is. My brother has a bad back, so there was like a masseuse. So I give him massages.
A masseuse?
Same difference. You knew what I was talking about. Anyway, I'm like, here, $20, go get a massage. So now I have his camera bag in my bag of swag. And I'm like, fuck it, I want to meet Lou Ferrigno. So, I waited online, I walked up, I met Lou Ferrigno, shook his hand, took a picture, got an autograph, walked back with the bag of swag, but I didn't have the camera in it. I must have put it down when I took the picture. My brother came back and was like, where's my camera? I'm like, it's not in the bag. Oh, shit. Where did I leave this thing? And my brother's ready to kill me because this was like an expensive camera.
Okay.
I'm like, wait. I go, last place I had it, I met Lou Ferrigno. So I jumped back on the line. And I was going to wait in line until I got up again. I'm like, did I leave? Please tell me I left my camera here. But he saw me. Lou Ferrigno saw me online. And he leans over and he sees me and he motions for me. He's like, come here, come here, come here. And I run up and I was like, dude, I go, did I? And he goes, yes, you did. And he handed me the camera back. And I'm like, Mr. Ferrigno, thank you very much. So, Mr. Ferrigno, thank you very much. You are one of the coolest cats I've ever met.
Oh, yeah. I definitely want to meet Lou Ferrigno. I mean, he was like, I grew up watching the Incredible Hulk TV show and the made-for-TV movies. Yep. And in all honesty, like, I didn't get into, like, working out in the gym until, like, later on as I got older. But going back and watching him and, like, pumping iron, it's, like, it's inspiring because it's, like, he really put in, like, this work to be up there on that top-tier echelon of people who really put in the physical work. to build his body to something that could be basically the Incredible Hulk in live action.
Yeah. And he actually beat, I think, a couple of times Schwarzenegger in like the Mr. Universe competitions.
I think they went back and forth a few times, or it came very close.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was, for a while it was Schwarzenegger and Ferrigno and then everybody else.
Yep.
And at the time, you could not have picked a better person to play the Incredible Hulk than Ferrigno. I mean, unless Schwarzenegger was around, but again, yeah, I think I think Ferrigno had it. Yeah. I mean, even though Schwarzenegger, even though like the Hulk is supposed to be like this big towering creature,
yeah,
I think if Schwarzenegger would have done it, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But I think the way Ferrigno did it, everything just clicked.
Yeah. But Lou Ferrigno's films of Hercules and Hercules 2, it's literally the only movies that I have ever seen on, back in the 80s, WPIX, when it was Channel 11.
Channel 11.
They used to, in New York, they showed the movies on Saturday and Sunday. Everything would repeat.
Yep.
They did not repeat this one. They showed 1 and 2 back to back.
And they're like, we're done.
Oh, they got so many complaints that people were going to boycott the network if they went and they ever aired it again. And it has never since aired again. But I will say, funny little side story. In college, in a film class, we were doing one of the guys was filming something on the weekend. So we were all there and we're helping with the production. And one of the guys goes off, because we're looking for stuff to do while they're setting everything up. He goes to the video store and rents Hercules starring Lou Ferrigno, and we're watching it, and we're doing a Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I
did that one time.
And it's definitely a movie that you can do that with.
I Mystery Science Theater at one time in a film class that we were in, and we were watching some like 1904 movie. And it was like a silent film, but it like the professor wanted to show us because they had like this one scene where you see like these Nazis marching up steps, and like, this is great. This is what filmmaking is. And we're like, people walking up steps in knee-high boots, right? So there was a scene where it was supposed to be a shooting star coming across the screen, but 19 whatever. It really didn't look good. So it looked like a sparkler on a string being pushed across the camera lens. And we're in the back and it was dark. And I go, Mayday, Mayday, Tinkerbell is going down.
Yeah, I will say in a film class where they showed us Birth of a Nation.
That's what it was?
Birth of a Nation it was the Klan. So it wasn't Nazis. This was the Klan.
But did it take place in Europe, though?
No.
Okay,
took place in America. Birth of a Nation, though, is like seeing the Klan being portrayed as heroes.
Right.
I could not stop laughing. I was literally dying because I'm like, the Klan is riding in on horseback like if they're the heroes. And I'm like, can you see with those hoods on? I could not stop laughing at the movie. It was so terrible. It's a piece of history that we should never forget. That this crap is like, really? It's propaganda. You're trying to make the Klan seem like they're the heroes. The only thing worse to me was the foreign film that I saw, How Tasty Was My Little Frenchman. It was about cannibals. But French guy ends up in the area with a bunch of cannibals. There's a lot of nudity. I couldn't read the subtitles because there was a Huang going past everywhere. There was another Huang. Literally, if you look... one of my friends sitting next to me is like, just try looking at the upper part of the screen. And I'm like, okay. I try to look at the upper part of the screen, and from the top of the screen coming down is a naked Huang running across the screen. And I'm just like, this was a lot of Huangs.
A lot of Wang.
Yes. And if you'd like to make fun of me for saying it, I don't care. But there was just a lot of Huang.
Wang.
It was Huang.
Wang.
Yep. And it was very distracting, and I could not look and read the subtitles because when
He stared at the Wang.
it's right there.
In your face, the Wang.
Pretty much in your face on a screen that makes it look very larger than it actually was. And I'm like, no, I did not pay to sit in a class and see a porno. I would have paid for a class that would have shown me porno, but not that class. That was third world cinema.
With Wang.
And then the professor wondered why I left every time he started the movie. Because he kept showing me a lot of movies with just Huangs everywhere. So,
Oh, well.
we're going to wrap up this episode, which we've had a lot of fun. We've reminisced.
I liked it. And I'm actually kind of surprised that,
I gave you credit for a good idea.
yeah, I'm surprised you didn't give me shit.
I think I've hit the max of how much shit I'm going to give you for the year.
After the fact, only got, what, like 3 weeks left?
Yeah, after the last episode, anyway. Because it was Dogpile on Mike.
It was Dogpile on Mike Day.
And if you'd still like to use code MEH, it's no longer available.
Sorry.
That was.
I'm gonna make shirts up or hats, at least hats that says meh.
Yeah, we need some ideas. So if anyone has any ideas of what kind of merchandise they would like to see from us, will.
How we can get it done.
I can figure that out, but it's more a matter of what you'd like to see. Send us an email at dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. That's dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's, all one word, dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. Now, you can also send us a bunch of emails with any questions, comments, concerns, and if you'd like to find out about Mike's well-being, send us an email there.
And Mr. Jackman, if you would like to just drop us a little email or a video about you wearing balls on your chin, we would love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. Now, Mike,
please do.
And Mike, tell us how they can find your socials and get in touch with the Dragoon's Lair podcast.
You can get me by smoke signal and or carrier pigeon. No, I'm kidding. You can find me, Hamster Pellet Productions, on Facebook. You can find me, Mike Schiavo, on Close Enough Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram at Hamster Pellet Productions, and I happen to run the Dragoon's Lair podcast Instagram page, so you can get me there too.
Yep, and you also run the Facebook page.
Yes, I do run the Facebook page.
Yep. Mike is a very busy man. He runs a lot of different websites all at once. Well, more like Facebook groups, but...
Yeah.
And you can find me on my socials, Blue Dragoon 13, on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitch. Twitch has a link to the Discord channel, and you can sign up there and be part of the community, be one of our Dragoonies, as well as finding us on YouTube, because you can watch all of our episodes that we have video versions of on Blue Dragoon 13's YouTube channel. And all the latest episodes come out a week after the audio on all of your podcasting platforms that you prefer. Now, with that being said, it's the holiday season, and I want to start off by saying Happy Hanukkah, because Hanukkah started early. So
Didn't it start last night?
Yep. As of us recording this, it started the night before. So Happy Hanukkah to all of our Jewish audience. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We record this so it comes out when the Sabbath is over, so you have something to listen to. And we should be, I think for our next episode, though, I think we should just give them a little hint on what I've got planned.
Mhm.
I'm going to try to get the Anime NYC footage together for something special there that we'll both be talking about. But I have an idea of we're going to talk about our favorite holiday movies
Okay.
because we're going to give our list of our favorite holiday movies to watch from Christmas to New Year's.
Okay.
Because it's only, what, a week apart?
Yeah. Didn't it feel a lot longer when we were younger?
Everything felt a lot longer when we were younger. Now
Yep.
it just seems like the only things that feel like they take forever is when it's time to leave work.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So, everyone, I'd like to thank you for spending your time with us. And, Mike, I'm going to turn this one over to you so you can send this out.
Okay. Let me see. This is a big responsibility.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. As Daniel the Dragon would say, you do not have to go back to your house, but you cannot remain here. Now, please vacate the premises.
Wow, that was a lot nicer than I would.
Well, it is holiday time, and I got to stay on Santa's nice list. So,
Oh, I'm on that naughty list already.
yeah, we know.
Hey, Mrs. Claus comes by for me. Later, everybody.